Hello dear friends and welcome. Friends, in today's video we are going to discuss one of the most interesting forms of poetic art, and that is ballad. So what we are going to do is that we are going to discuss form of ballad, types of ballad and tradition of ballad writing. Dear friends, poetry is broadly divided into three major types: lyrical poetry, narrative poetry, and dramatic poetry. Ballad falls into the category of narrative poetry. But, dear friends, although it falls into the category of narrative poetry, ballad shares certain characteristics with lyrical poetry and dramatic poetry as well. Friends, the Romantic Age in the history of English poetry brought revivalism in the form of ballad. Wordsworth and Coleridge entitled their collection of poems as lyrical ballads. So the adjective lyrical is very important and suggestive. Ballad does have lyrical quality in itself. But dear friends, ballad also shares with dramatic poetry as well. How? Let us try to understand. There is a brief plot in ballad as there is plot in dramatic poetry. There are characters in ballad as there are characters in dramatic poetry. And dear friends, there is dialogue in ballad as we find dialogue in dramatic poetry. So although it falls into the category of narrative poetry, ballad does share certain characteristics with lyrical poetry as well as dramatic poetry. And in this sense, ballad is a complex form of poetic art. Dear friends, let us discuss etymology and meaning of ballad. So, the English term ballad is derived from the French ballad, meaning dance song, in 15th century. But dear friends, in 17th century, the term ballad came to be interpreted as a narrative poem for singing. So, ballad is a form of poetic art that vehemently incorporates both music and dance. Friends, ballad is a form of poetic art that covers both the mainstream literary field and the folk literary tradition as well. It has been practiced by the poets belonging to the mainstream literature, and at the same time, ballad has also been an integral part of the oral tradition. Friends, let us try to discuss characteristics of ballad. What are the characteristics of ballad? How ballad as a form of poetry is different from other forms of poetic art. And above all, what makes a ballad a ballad? So let us try to discuss characteristics of ballad. The first characteristic of ballad is that it is a short story in verse. There is a brief story in ballad, And because of the powerful story element, ballad does attract readers of the world. So let me give you an example from the Irish ballad written by W.B. Yeats. The title of the ballad is The Song of Wandering Angus. And dear friends, Angus is the hero in the Irish folk culture. So, in the Song of Wandering Angus, Angus is now an old man. But when he was young, he once caught a fish. But soon, the fish was converted into a beautiful girl, and the beautiful girl vanished. Since then, Angus has been searching for the beautiful girl. Dear friends, symbolically, each and every human being is Angus in himself because each and every human being is searching for something. The second characteristic, dear friends, of ballet is its universality. Ballad has got universal appeal. In fact, all poetic forms have got universal appeal. But because of the powerful story elements and the use of colloquial language, ballad has got comparatively more universal appeal than other forms of poetic art. So, a ballad written by a poet belonging to one corner of the world could be enjoyed and appreciated by the readers belonging to another corner of the world. So, Wordsworth, for example, Lucy Gray, or Childless Father, Coleridge's Christabel, or Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, Keats's La Belle Dame Sans Mercy could be enjoyed and appreciated by the readers of India, by the readers of Indonesia, by the readers of Japan, by the readers of Kyrgyzstan, by the readers of Kazakhstan, as ballad has got universal appeal. The third characteristic of ballad is its use of simple and even colloquial language. So, the ballad poet uses a very simple language. The poet does not intend to be bombastic. The poet does not intend to be pedantic. Rather, the poet of the ballad uses a very simple language, rather colloquial language, the sort of language which is spoken by ordinary people. And the simplicity of diction contributes to the universality of ballad form. The fourth characteristic, dear friends, is that ballad has got abrupt, unexpected, and even dramatic opening. So, all of a sudden and very dramatically, ballad opens. Let me give you an example from the rhyme of the ancient mariner. In the inception of the rhyme of the ancient mariner, the bassoon is played, the wedding feast is ready, and the wedding guest is rushing towards the area of the feast. But all of a sudden, the mariner stops the wedding guest with his glittering eye and begins to tell his story. So gradually, the wedding guest is lost in the story that the mariner tells. Right? So, ballad has got, dear friends, very abrupt, very unexpected, and even dramatic opening. The fifth characteristic of ballad is its dialogue form. Ballad uses dialogue and through dialogue, we come to know the mentality, the psyche of the interlocutors. So, what is the significance of dialogue in ballet? Dialogue, in fact, reveals points of views of various characters. Dialogue reveals mindset of various characters. Dialogue reveals worldview of various characters. So, there is a famous ballad by the name of Lord Randall. And in this ballad, there is a dialogue between Lord Randall and his mother. And in the dialogue, as a rejoinder to his mother's questions, Lord Randall answers that he has been poisoned by his beloved. Similarly, in Kirsty's La Belle Dame Sans Mercy, the speaker asks the knight why the knight is palely loitering. And as a reply to the question of the speaker, the knight tells his story. So, dialogue forms an integral part of ballad form. Then, dear friends, ballad centers on the popular themes such as love, adventure, and crime. For example, Kirsty's La Belle Dame Sans Mercy is centered on the theme of love. The knight falls in love with the fairy who leaves him, and consequently, the knight is palely loitering and searching for the fairy. Similarly, dear friends, we find the theme of adventure in Coleridge's The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. In fact, the whole ballad, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, is a tale of sin and spiritual rebirth from the biblical point of view. Similarly, dear friends, we too often find the theme of crime in ballad. For example, the Scottish ballad Lord Randall is centered on the theme of crime. As I have just discussed, Lord Randall is a young man who has been poisoned by his beloved. Right? Then, dear friends, ballad is a poetic form that is connected with oral tradition and folk culture. So many old ballads have been orally transmitted by one generation to another generation. Besides, dear friends, ballad also forms an integral part of folk culture. Great heroes who are so famous and popular in folk culture, great events, right? They are described in ballad. So in this way, ballad is a poetic form that is also concerned with the oral tradition and folk culture. Then, dear friends, ballad is a kind of poetic form that employs a specific ballad stanza. So how is ballet stanza? So one of the identities of ballet as a poetic form is its use of stanza. So traditionally, ballet stanza is a 4-line stanza rhyming A, B, C, B. That means the second and the fourth line rhyme together. Dear friends, let me give you an example from the rhyme of the ancient mariner. So the lines that I am talking about describes how the mariner deals with the wedding guest. So I am reading out the 4 lines and I am trying to explain the rhyme scheme that operates in ballad form. So I am reading out the lines. He holds him with his glittering eye. He means the mariner, and him means the wedding guest. So the first line, he holds him with his glittering eye. The wedding guest stood still. Second line, the wedding guest stood still and listens like a 3 years child. Third line, the mariner hath his will. Fourth line. So dear friends, still will. Second and fourth line rhyme together. So I am now reading out the 4 lines together. He holds him with his glittering eye. The wedding guest stood still and listens like a 3 years child. The mariner had his will. Right? So, dear friends, after discussing characteristics of ballad, let us discuss main types of ballad. So, the first type of ballad is called traditional ballad or folk ballad. So, what is traditional ballad or folk ballad? The authorship of traditional ballad or folk ballad is anonymous. We do not know who is the author, who is the poet of traditional ballad or folk ballad, and that is why this type of ballad is called traditional ballad or folk ballad. Then, traditional ballad is shared by a particular community. It is a part of communal inheritance. And because traditional ballad or folk ballad is an integral part of the oral tradition, it always undergoes process of alterations. Dear friends, second type of ballad is called literary ballad. So what is literary ballad? Literary ballad is ballad written by a particular poet employing particular literary or poetic devices. So, the rhyme of the ancient mariner, for example, falls into the category of literary ballad as it is written by Coleridge, employing the poetic devices that he is comfortable with. Right? Dear friends, the third type of ballad is called broadside ballet. Dear friends, after the invention and inception of printing press, ballads were printed on a single sheet of paper and was sold by ballad mongers in fairs and streets. So too often the ballad mongers would sing particular ballads so that the people could get familiarized with the tune of such ballads. So Broadside Ballet has also been a very famous type of ballad in the history of European poetry, right? One popular example of broadside ballad is an English ballad entitled Guy of Warwick. In this ballad, Guy defeats Colbrand, and Colbrand is a Danish invading champion. Guy is an English hero, and Guy defeats Colbrand, a Danish invader, and thus Guy delivers Winchester, an English city, from the Danish domain. So dear friends, three main types of ballad are traditional ballad or folk ballad, literary ballad, and broadside ballad. Now, dear friends, after discussing the types of ballad, let us discuss ballad and its tradition, how ballads have been written in the mainstream literature and in folk tradition as well. So we are now discussing various traditions of ballad writing and ballad singing. So the first tradition that I am talking about is the tradition of minstrel ballads. So minstrel ballads are sung by professional entertainers for squires, nobles, and rich people. All Robin Hood ballads in European tradition fall into the category of minstrel ballads. Then, dear friends, there has been a tradition of historical ballads. Historical ballads are based on historical personages and historical events. For example, in our Indian culture, there have been ballads on our great king and warrior Prithviraj Chauhan and his fight against Muhammad Ghori. Then, dear friends, there has been a tradition to write ballads on disaster. So, there have been ballads on shipwreck, on plague, on mine explosions, and maybe in the coming times there would be ballads on pandemic of COVID-19 too, right? Then, dear friends, the fourth tradition has been ballads on saga hero tradition. That is to say, ballads that describe the life of great heroes. So in every culture, there have been ballads on saga hero tradition. For example, in Russian culture, there is a ballad entitled Vladimir, and this ballad is based on the Russian ruler by the name of Vladimir, who consolidated Christian kingdom in Russia. Similarly, dear friends, there has been a very famous Spanish ballad entitled El Cid, and this ballad is based on Rodrigo Diaz, the Spanish national hero, an 11th century Spanish national hero who protected the Christian Spain against Islamic invasions. Right? And dear friends, the fifth tradition of ballad writing has been occupational ballads. So there have been ballads on hazards of occupations such as seafaring, mining, herding cattle, etc. So dear friends, on the whole, ballad is a very interesting and at the same time a very important form of poetic art. Its greatness as a poetic form lies in the fact that ballad is a part of literary tradition and at the same time ballad is a part of folk tradition too. In Europe and in Asia, poets have written so many ballads. Various cultures have preserved so many ballads in the oral tradition. Today, with the use of technology, newer and newer singers are singing both old ballads and newer ballads with latest techniques in music and with great enthusiasm. Thank you so much.